All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Kristen Cambenzi,
Here.
Jennifer Ray,
Here.
Jason Zadunik,
Here.
Jennifer Cliff, Cheryl Maddox Smith,
Here.
Cassidy Thomas, Eric Smith.
Here. All right, and I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Zadudnik, support by Mr. Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Cambenzi, and thank you all for joining us this evening. Have a few items, more than a few items under the superintendent's report, but not most of it. Pretty much all of it is going to come from folks other than myself. So we're going to start with a couple reps from Marisa, Dr. Smith and Eric Ziegler, who are going to talk about a creative project that we've had in the works for some time, and we've got some traction, and they're going to give you a short update. So, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Sedgwick. I'd be remiss if I didn't take the moment to congratulate the board again on their effort to secure the dollars from the community for the bond. So excited about that, and also excited as a parent of a brand new graduate. So I appreciate the leadership of the principals and yourselves on the board and our superintendent. And it's through that leadership that we've come to this point in time to talk about this innovative partnership. And it's been great to sit down with Superintendent Sedgwick, Principals Rico and Johnson at the middle school and high school respectively, and to talk about what opportunities exist through career and tech education. And fortunately for us, they've been receptive. They threw some ideas our way, and we've come to this point in time where we're exploring an opportunity that has been kind of a long time coming, something that has been discussed a couple of administrations ago, and we've come to a point in time where we feel confident sharing with the board about this opportunity with Market El Dorisa and Market Area Public Schools. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Ziegler.
Sounds good. So I'll add Principal Kunkelton as well. We have CTE construction trades at Marquette High School, Marquette Senior High School, and Marquette Alternative High School now, state certified career and tech ed. And through a partnership with Marquette Senior High School and Marquette Alternative High School, along with Marquette El Dorisa, we're looking at starting a pilot program to where we get our motivated Marquette students. I know they are, I've got 3 myself, but to get them out into real world learning, to work on site with their instructors and partners from the community to get into a housing project and looking at something to where we can really give back to the district and to that housing need that we all hear so much about in the community. So more to come. Just high level, we're looking at having students working with instructors and partners from the community, building partners from the community, to take a look at a remodel of a house on Marquette property. So something that'll benefit the community, something that'll benefit our students, which is key to career and technical education. And in addition to those innovative programs that Dr. Smith talked about, we are also adding programming that's open to all Marquette students. We continue to support the great CTE that we have at Marquette, but also getting into some new and innovative programming. We're going to start a program in artificial intelligence, working with Northern. We're going to start a program in aviation. We actually partnered with Marquette last year to get that up and running, and now we're going to host it at Sawyer Airport, but open to Marquette students. An engineering tech program, really grounded in our medical manufacturing world, which is so big in our area, but also the broad range of engineering that we have. And then getting into natural resources and taking a look at the great resources that we have in our area. So just thank you to the board, thank you to Superintendent Sedgwick and his leadership, to Market Algerisa with Dr. Smith, and moving forward to help our students and help our community, which is key to CTE.
Just to add a little bit, we own multiple properties adjacent to Marquette Senior High School, and one of those properties has been vacant for some time. The house is tired, to say it mildly, and we decided, rather than just rent it out as is, that we take advantage of the opportunity to renovate and improve that property, and then we can put it back out on the market as a rental in much better condition. And if this goes well, there's potentially other opportunities that we'll save for another date. But thank you, Mr. Ziegler and Dr. Smith, for your support. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Next up, there she is, Mrs. Linda Winslow, who's here on behalf of the MAPS Education Foundation. I'm sure the board is aware of the wonderful work and support that the Ed Foundation provides to our students and staff.
Good evening. My name is Linda Winslow, and I'm currently the president for the Market Area Public Schools Education Foundation. I'd like to come at least once a year because I like you to kind of know what we're doing, because it involves all the students in our public school system, which is pretty exciting. So I just want to remind everyone that what we're really about. So the Market Area Public Schools Education Foundation's mission is to acquire funds and distribute financial and other resources for unique programs and activities that supplement and enhance quality learning opportunities for the students in Market Area Public Schools. So it's a lofty mission statement, but I think we've achieved it over the years. And I wanted to share a little information about what's gone on this year. So we have what I call 4 arms of the foundation, and so I'd like to talk about those 4 arms a little bit. One of our arms is scholarships. So we just did local scholarships, and some of you, I heard someone say they had a student graduate this year, and we've all had students that we know or are related to us graduate from this high school, including me and Kristen. And some of you other folks in the audience, I'm sure, graduated from school here. And so we have 67 scholarship funds, and awarded were 145 scholarships this year to 127 students. So that's amazing. So think about what that means to the students and what that means to our community. Okay, we're all involved in this. Those funds were set up by people in our community, and they were set up to be gifts to our students. So I did bring some brochures along. The scholarship brochure looks like, I won't show you the one I wrote all over, but it looks like this. It's on our website as well, but I brought a couple and I'll put them on the table over there when I leave. Another arm of our foundation is called grants. So every year we have a grant committee that evaluates what are called either short grants, small grants, or large grants. Large grants are up to $2,500. Small grants are up to $300. The people that apply for those grants can be teachers, staff, or students. And it's always exciting when the students apply, because that means they've thought of a project that they feel is unique. So this year we had 37 grant requests. That's huge. That's huge. And so we awarded 32 of those requests, which again is huge. But that grant money, those grant funds have been set up by, again, members in our community. Okay, so someone's given money to support those grants for our students. Another arm of the foundation is called the Penda Wall, and some of you may be familiar with that. If you went to school here, that wall is down in the main area, right before the gym. Take time and read those bios, I'll call them, the names of the people that were awarded that particular honor. And that committee will be announcing who will be getting those awards this year soon. But last year, there were 2 people awarded, and one of them was Dan Trudell, who is a musician. He graduated from our school. He doesn't live in our community any longer, but he did graduate from our school, and he came back and he held some concerts in our area. So maybe you were lucky enough to attend one of those. The other person was Stephen Eldest Jardins. He is from the class of 1972. And he was not able to attend last year, but I think he's coming this year. So you'll see him in the homecoming parade. Someone loans us a convertible and they go on the parade, and that's kind of exciting for them, right? The last arm that I talk about is what's called our First to Finish program. That particular program gives $50 from the foundation to every child who's in first grade. Some of you may have first graders that are now in 7th grade who will be going into 8th grade. So our first class is going into 8th grade next year, and that's amazing in my mind. We went through COVID, we still gave the $50, and our bank partners, Incredible Bank and Range Bank, give $10. So every student starts with $60. Now, there is an opportunity for the students to learn a little bit about banking by taking some money that they've maybe earned or grandmas gave them or mom gave them for picking up the trash or who knows what. They can bring that money to the bank, and the bank then talks about how that deposit happens and what happens with their money. It's their money when they graduate. So the key for children's savings account programs in our community was to increase graduation rate. So we're hoping that really works, okay? We're hoping we have 99.9% of all of our students graduate. So this year we did what are called incentives. And all this is funded by donations, okay? So people give money to help our First to Finish program. 2 incentives happened this year. All the students who are in 6th grade got $6. Why'd they get $6? They're in 6th grade. They're halfway through their school experience. Okay, so they all got $6 if they had an account. Okay, so we gave 176 graders $6 in their accounts. Okay, then in May, if they put any money, a quarter, a dime, $5 in their account, we gave them $5 more. So our 6th graders could earn $11 in their accounts last year, which makes them go from 60 to 71. Okay, so what's our goal as a foundation? Everyone graduates and gets $100 in their First to Finish account. But we need help to do that, right? As everyone says in our community, we need help. We need our community to support us. And they do. So how many students do we have with those accounts? Well, they get them in 1st grade, and our first class is in 8th grade. About 220 students a year, over 1,600 accounts. Think about that. That's huge, okay? We're one of 17 children's savings account programs in the state of Michigan. And Michigan is very strong with children's savings account programs. So that's our update for this year. I'll be back next year with more information. I'll put what I brought, flyer-wise, on the counter. Help yourself. Support your kids. They're our future. Okay, they really, really are, even though people don't think that. And grandparents can be extremely helpful. So tell your grandparents, no more junk for Christmas. Send some money. Thank you. And now I'll ask the $1 million question. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate all the work that you do and the foundation. Greatly appreciated. So next up, Athletic Director Jackson Ingalls for his annual athletics update.
Thank you, Mr. Sedgwick and board members for having me tonight. It is, of course, my privilege to serve as athletic director, and we've got actually a couple athletic people in the audience tonight. We have our new head volleyball coach, Heather Concha, who is here tonight, and we've got our football booster club president, Angela Abbott, who is here tonight. So thank you for being here and being in front of the board. It's very exciting. I am honored tonight to be able to share some of the individual and athletic highlights, as well as a general review of this past 2025-2026 school year. First of all, I know there have been many questions regarding the athletic budget, fundraising, those types of things. So I'll first provide you with a quick summary of what 2025-2026 actually looked like. Thank you, Mrs. Cambenzi and Mrs. Zadunik, for taking the time 2 weeks ago to meet with us and some other members of the administration to go over this in more specific detail, but I'll try to provide you with a overall, general, some couple numbers here. It should take about a minute. This was the first year that we had implemented a plan that limited and restricted fundraising within athletics. So within doing that, the self-funded sports, they still fundraised and then spent about $200,000. However, in the school-funded sports, the total expense was $1,075,000. And revenues included pay-to-play of $84,000, ticket sales of $91,000, and fundraising total generated within school-funded sports of $255,000. Fundraising even within the school-funded sports currently can fund things from food on trips to hotel rooms in some cases, to postseason awards, banquets, ice time in hockey, equipment like tackling dummies or blocking sleds, shooting machines, wrestling mats, summer team camps, and so on. In the end, the general fund ended up contributing $645,000 for athletics during this school year. That is up from $400,000, which occurred about 5 years ago, according to the records we have. And the difference there is obviously $245,000, and that's primarily probably because of the reduction in cost for students to get into games and those types of things. So that's what we've got going on there. But the overall program still spent $1,075,000 on school-funded sports. That comes out to about 60% is paid for by the school and 40% is paid for by either fundraising, pay-to-play, ticket sales, those types of things. So that is just a quick update on what that budget actually looks like. I know several of you had questions on that, so hopefully that helps. Now to get into some of the more exciting stuff. Athletes of the Month. So this is nominated and then voted on by the program head coaches within each season. So we're going to go through and read off each one of them. So during August, we had Charlie Rohde from soccer. He had a goal or assist in every game during August, led the team to an eventual 17-4-2 season, and was one of the key reasons why the team earned the #1 seed in the district tournament in soccer. Harlow Davis from volleyball. She was the team captain and an all-conference honoree. She set the school record for service aces in a match and was academic all-state and was an outstanding leader on and off the court. In September, we had Ford Richardson from football. He was the quarterback, the team captain, and the leader on both sides of the ball. He was the go-to player offensively and defensively and helped lead the team to a playoff appearance. Kiera Lindbergh from dance was a senior captain and 3-year varsity letter award winner. She led the team to a first-place finish at the summer camp and earned the Firecracker Award for energy and leadership. In October, we had Pavel McCutcheon from football, who was the anchor on both the offensive and the defensive lines. He was the team captain and an outstanding leader. He led by example in athletics and in academics. And Ella Fury in cross country was a 4-time UP championship team member. Herself, she has 9 individual UP titles, and she has a GPA of 4.333 and was voted Michigan's top senior cross country runner. In November, we had Parker Nevenhoven from hockey, who was a team captain and a 4-year letter award winner. During November, he posted a .907 save percentage and helped the team to a 4-2-1 stretch during November. Logan McFerrin from swim and dive was a 4-year all-UP swimmer. In the UP, she has 7 relay UP titles and 2 individual UP titles. She's a 4-year academic athlete in UP swim and dive. In December, we had Connor Firestein from basketball. He's a 3-year varsity letter award winner and a 2-year starter. He was a key player of the back-to-back district championships and Sweet 16 appearances. And then Lexi Curran from basketball is also senior captain. Helped lead the girls basketball to a district championship this year, her senior year, and is a tough competitor and a vocal leader. In January, we had Levi Ellis from wrestling. He was runner-up at multiple major tournaments. Is a team-first athlete willing to move weight classes even, and is known for his work ethic and leadership. And then Lola Rink from gymnastics was the team captain and an exceptional leader and role model for her teammates. She's known for positivity, reliability, and work ethic. In February, we had Brody Sheldon from hockey, who had 5 goals, 2 assists during a 5-1-1 stretch during February, dominated faceoffs at 63%, and was a key player during the tournament run. Mara Piera in wrestling, first female wrestler in school history to qualify for the state finals, and also the first freshman in program history to accomplish that acknowledgement. She did it despite even missing time with a broken finger. During March, we had Brody Clements from basketball. He, at the end, emerged as the team's most versatile player and played his best during the tournament run. And then Katie Duquette from figure skating finished 2nd at the Michigan State Championships, helped the team finish 4th overall in that state meet. Moving on to April, Lucas Balkowski from tennis was undefeated as the #1 singles player for Marquette. He's a two-time UP champion, both individually and with his team his junior and senior year, and was an All-UP and All-State selection in tennis. Charlie Swajinen in softball has led the comeback of Marquette softball. 11-3 pitching record with a 1.71 ERA and batted .482. During May, both from track and field, Jacob Norman was undefeated in the 110 hurdles, was back-to-back regional and UP champion, and Taylon Todd was undefeated in long jump, broke the school record twice, and is several-time conference, regional, and UP champion. So those are more of our individual awards, and now on to the team awards throughout the school year. So in cross country, both the boys and girls teams won the UP championship meet, marking the 29th for boys and the 36th for girls. Football finished 6-4, including a playoff appearance and a narrow loss of 38-34 to Gaylord in the district semifinal, which in football is the Division III round of 32. Boys soccer finished 17-4-2, reached the district final, and lost by 1 goal to Traverse City St. Francis. Girls tennis won the conference championship and finished 3rd at the UP final. Volleyball finished 9-18-1 and ended up losing to Petoskey in the district match. Mountain biking was 2nd overall during the regular season and finished 3rd at the Wisconsin State final meet. Moving on to the winter, boys basketball finished 18-8, including the district title and an appearance in the regional final, which is the round of 16. To note, this was the first time appearing in back-to-back regional final games since moving up to Class A in 1962. Girls basketball finished 8-15 and won the district championship, and this was the first time since 2020 that has happened in girls basketball. Hockey posted an overall record of 19-8-3, including a regional championship and appearance in the state quarterfinal, the round of 8, and falling to eventual state champion Houghton. In alpine skiing, the girls team won the state championship meet, which is the 14th in school history, and the boys team finished as the state runner-up. Bowling sent a girl to the state final who ended up placing 34th out of a field of 56. Gymnastics saw 2 gymnasts qualify for and compete in the regional meet. Swim and dive saw yet again both the boys and girls teams winning the UP championship, marking the 33rd for boys and 30th for girls. Wrestling had the first female and first freshman state qualifier in state history. In the dance team, 19 strong, danced very well at all home basketball and football games, and by the end of February had performed 20 different routines this year. Cheerleading is now in its 2nd year back, again filled the roster to the MHSA's maximum of 12 girls, and saw yet another great fall and winter cheering on the football and basketball teams to very successful and memorable seasons. Figure skating had a state qualifier and finished 4th overall at the state meet. And then both the Nordic skiing boys and girls teams again won the state title, and this is earning the back-to-back right for both boys and girls from 2025. On to spring, which technically started in March, but really didn't start for us until May. Boys golf won the UP championship, which is the 17th in school history, and set a record of 295 strokes, which is an average of less than 1 over par per 9 holes. On the girls' side, the team finished 5th at the UP final meet. Boys tennis won the UP championship, the 48th in school history, and this marks back-to-back wins from 2025 as well. Boys track and field won the UP championship, which is the 7th in a row and 20th in school history, while girls track and field finished as the UP runner-up. Softball finished 27-9, which is the best record in, I believe, 9 years, and was a district semifinalist. Baseball finished 14-14, falling in the district final. And girls soccer finished 7-6-1 and was a district semifinalist. So those are all of our team and athletes of the month. Now we've got 4 individuals who are recognized for their achievements throughout the whole year. We've got 2 teammates of the year, 1 boy, 1 girl, and then 2 athletes of the year, 1 boy and 1 girl. So on teammates of the year, the male was Pavel McCutcheon. He earned 11 varsity letters across football, basketball, golf, and track. He was the football team captain and an all-state lineman, basketball team captain, and a major contributor to the 2 district titles and Sweet 16 appearances. His GPA is a 3.99. He was an NHS member and the student council vice president. He is the definition of leadership, consistency, and service. Kylie Smith, 3-sport student athlete in tennis, basketball, and golf. She was a constant encourager and positive influence. She made teammates feel included and valued and always represented every program with outstanding sportsmanship and character. And now onto the Athletes of the Year. These are the two most prestigious, the two biggest awards that we have within athletics every year. So Ford Richardson was the Male Athlete of the Year from football, basketball, and track. In football, he led the team to a playoff appearance, accounted for 24 touchdowns and only 9 turnovers. He was Dream Team All-UP, First Team All-Region, and All-Conference. In basketball, he was the point guard and individually earned the BCAM Best All-State and First Team All-UP. In track, he was the individual UP champion in the 300 hurdles and the 400-meter dash. He holds 4 school records in track, and overall is one of the most competitive student athletes to wear a Marquette uniform. The Female Athlete of the Year was Ella Fury from cross country and track. She has, again, a 4.333 GPA, is a 4-time member of the UP cross country championship teams, 9 individual UP titles, 4-time UP Dream Team selection, and was voted, as we know, Michigan's top senior cross country runner. Holds the UP Division I finals record in the 3,200 meter run, and one of the most accomplished female athletes we have had here in school history at Marquette. In closing, as athletic director, it is my privilege to have served over 500 plus student athletes, 35 varsity teams, 56 teams in total, 23 program head coaches, 100 coaches overall, 100 plus volunteers, game workers, officials, custodians, secretaries, bus drivers, and athletic trainers. It has likewise been an honor to be able to work for our superintendent, Mr. Sedgwick, my first principal, Mr. Wheeler, and our new principal, Mr. Johnson. As we continue to build up and move forward, I likewise will continue to learn and improve, and we will always be taking steps not only to move athletics forward, but to move MSHS, the school district, and the community of Marquette forward. The front porch of your school district is in good hands with our coaches who take care of kids and put them in a position to be successful. The potential of our student athletes can be reached, both in life and athletics, now and forever. I have loved just about every minute of being at Marquette, and I look forward to what we can accomplish next year and many years to come. I look forward to seeing you at our next home events, which are less than 2 months away. Thank you for your time tonight. God bless you, and go Sentinels.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Ingalls?
Thank you, Mr. Ingalls.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And next up, we have our Student Achievement Coordinator, Kathleen Stiles, who's going to give an update on student achievement.
Thank you, Jackson. I think in another life you could be an auctioneer. You gave us so much information. Thank you to the board for allowing me this chance to share with you student achievement. And thank you for investing in student achievement. It's really important. I will say that I have a 30-year class reunion from 1996. Jenny and Jim graduated with me in 1996. So student achievement. We spent a lot of time and energy investing in our early childhood place. That seemed like the most natural place to start. So you're going to see some, I think, pretty remarkable scores coming out of that. So this is a universal screening we give to our early childhood kids. You'll see the green is growing and the blue is growing, which is really important. And then the red and orange decreasing. So some good growth in early childhood. We've spent a lot of time in professional development, training teachers to better teach the science of reading. You've probably heard about that. As well as investing in curriculum. Here are some scores over 6 years, and this is pretty phenomenal. This is starting in 2023, we started to see a lot of growth. This is growth scores. So this is normative data. This means that kids across the country that take this exam, this test, 3rd through 8th, are growing more than their peers. The norm is 50%, so we're seeing significant growth in our efforts. This is math over the 6 years. We've invested training into something called AVMR, which is really looking at early numeracy and a child's ability to manipulate numbers mentally so that they're more successful at things like multiplication and division. Sorry to make your head all craned to see this, but this growth is something I've never seen before. Another assessment we give our second graders, this is a reading assessment. You'll see a steady growth over the past 3 years. Another assessment for second grade. Second grade's really pivotal because in third grade is when we face that third grade reading law where we're looking at potential retention if they're not making growth. This is NWA, the whole district. This one is reading. There are 2 lines there. The top one is growth, and I think that's, I can't see it, 64%. And then that bottom, the second bubble of achievement. Again, this is normative data, so most of the country, right, is at 50%. So when we start to see things in the 60th percentile, we look at what are the cool things that are happening in that district or with that grade level. This is math. Again, huge growth, huge achievement, something to be very proud of. Fastbridge, again, this is math. This is JK through first. Another math score for second grade. Automaticity, this is how quickly kids can do math facts. If you're parents, you know that that's a big deal, and we're seeing great growth with curriculum and training we've done with teachers. This is PSAT, so this is where we haven't seen that return quite yet as our kids come through because they've had that early intervention and time and better tier 1 teaching. We'll see these scores grow as well. 11th grade math. This is a heat map, which compares the district to our ISD to the state. What you want to see is the darker colors. And this will show you that we are, at MAPS, scoring higher than our ISD peers and at the Michigan level in all grade levels. This is M-STEP, so this is our state summative assessment. And this is not including this year because we don't get those assessments right away. Here we have math, same thing. We're scoring higher at the ISD level in all grade levels as well as at the state level and the ISD level. So really great things to be proud of right now. And I think that's the last one. Overall, I'd say we've spent a lot of time in elementary right now, and our next focus, coming out of strategic planning last week, is to really start to move the needle in our secondary education. So, any questions? Thank you.
I don't have any.
Thanks for the information, appreciated. You had mentioned that it looks like there's going to be some additional work done in that 9 through 12 area.
6 through 12.
I'm sorry, 6 through 12. As far as the 9 through 12 scores that came back, it looked like there's some areas for improvement. What are some of those goals as far as a percentage and data that you're looking to achieve over the next year or two?
So one of the things that we've really invested in is MTSS. You've heard that, multi-tiered systems of support. It's a system-wide effort to improve achievement. That has really taken root in elementary. And now we're moving into secondary to really make sure that all kids are getting what they need.
Thank you. As far as the MTSS is concerned, that has been a part of the program throughout. What kind of changes do you anticipate to see to be able to implement some of those goals, and specifically what are those percentages of goals that you're looking to achieve?
At the secondary level, first of all, it's team support. So we look at what are we doing at the district level? What are we planning? What does it look like at the building level, down to the grade level, and down to the individual student level? And those things have started to take root in our middle school, and secondary is always more tricky to do this, and mostly because of scheduling. We already have things in the works for next year. This space used to be used for like a learning center, and that's going to be a way more focused time for next year.
Just to add to that, Mrs. Stiles, a couple of things that I think sometimes we get so in the weeds and we forget what people do and don't know when they're not in the school building. Sometimes you get the press and the media, and of course that drives me crazy. So there's some really interesting, as a reading teacher whose master's work is in this, the reason we're investing in those lower grades is because that's where the skills are built. It is really, really difficult to go backwards and do the interventions and have those interventions stick once a child is about 13. Those foundational skills that we all learned with the science of reading and math, those are really set. So you're having to unlearn those and learn a new way when you get into a child's 13th, 14th year and all the brain science that goes with that. What I think is so exciting about what you just showed us, and I think oftentimes the public isn't aware of, is just how many assessments we're getting. I remember, what was that, maybe 6 months ago, we heard about how Marquette was below the state average in reading. There are a couple of caveats there, and if you're not aware of kind of how assessments work, that is the MEET test and the PSAT. Those are the things that we're talking about that usually make the press. The piece that, as a teacher and as a parent of a kiddo in this district, and as a board member, drives me nuts, is when we look at NWEA testing, which is really used to inform and help teachers drive their days, and there are other ones at those early levels. I'm not an early elementary teacher, so I can't speak to those. Obviously, Mrs. Stiles had a ton of really good data up there on other assessments. But I don't think the public understands that's a moving target. So first of all, we're not comparing the same group of kids all the way through, but second of all, what really gets in my craw is those are corporately run. The states across the board, there's a couple different corporations that do this. States go ahead and contract out to these companies, and those companies rework that test every year. So when they see that the average is rising too high across the nation, they tweak it and they say, okay, I've got to look at these test questions again. They must be too easy, as opposed to rejoicing that public ed is working and that kids are learning. That can't be it. It's got to be, we've got to then kind of move the target. So the amount of press, which unfortunately translates, especially in larger suburban areas, it can translate into home prices and home values, dependent to a certain extent it does here, right? Like, you move into communities because you want your kids to go to certain schools. That's all predicated, at least what the media sees, on the M-STEP and the PSAT, not all of the grade assessments that are really guiding and diving into what Stacy needs, which is versus what Jane needs versus what Rob needs. So when you see the press loves to do this, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, all of these kids can't read. That's a much larger conversation, and we have to start asking, well, what questions were asked last year? Why has the test been revised? Oh, they did too well, so we revise it and we move the target so they don't do as well? That doesn't seem like public education. That doesn't seem like success. So many great things. Thank you so much for the work you do, and to all of the folks, especially the teachers in the trenches, that are taking all of this great information and in the weeds with it, really looking at each kid.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It is our state summative assessments do move the target. They change the questions. They change what's proficient. So you never know what to plan for the end of the year. I'll say one of the things we're doing at the secondary level is we're curriculum mapping. So we're mapping out from JK through 12 what is all taught, so that horizontally between grade levels we can see where there's people exceeding and where people can improve. We're also looking at vertically, where are we covering too much of, what are we not covering enough of. Additionally, then we are looking at standards-based assessments where we can go in and analyze, was that standard taught well? Did our kids get it? What can we do different? That is transformational, and I do think that will move the needle for our secondary students. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stiles. I just want to reiterate, although there's room for improvement as a former math teacher, I'll test that math is going to be a focus area moving forward. You have to look at the difference between measuring versus your peers and measuring versus a benchmark. When you look at measurement versus our peers, especially, we are off the charts in a good way right now, including math, but not as much as in reading, and especially not as much in the more formative years, K through 5 and 6 through 8. Some of those scores I've never seen before, and it's going to pay dividends for a long time. Front loading or investing in the early years is going to pay off as they get older. But again, when you look at the benchmark assessment, the M-STEP in particular, it's not that impressive when you measure student success versus a benchmark. But when you compare to their peers, not just regionally, but statewide, it is still trending in a very strong direction. But I think it's more of a systemic concern with the way that we test and with math in general. And I do expect that we're going to see positive trends in all grades, including math. And just want to say that last note, on Thursday, we had about 50 people involved in an incredible discussion, collaborative, data-driven. We had not just educators, but business, local government, industry that were involved in strategic planning. One of the best sessions I've been part of at MAPS, and I'm really excited to present that plan to the board for consideration in our July meeting. And I expect that that plan is going to help drive us towards continued success for the next 5 years. Last up under the superintendent report is Mr. Lampman for our budget amendment.
Here we go. Pictures of snowmen.
Really, Mrs. Stiles, we're gonna sneak out now, and I was just about to pay you a compliment.
Oh, we have to compliment this.
I was gonna say,
I have
Mr.
two 17-year-olds at home that I gotta deal with, but let's hear it.
Well, I was gonna say, I wish I could say Mr. Sedgwick saved the best for last, but after watching your presentation and Mr. Ingalls, that is not the case. So,
Oh, that was nice.
all right,
That's very nice.
bye. Good evening. So, let's start off with the fact that the state of Michigan has yet to adopt a 26-27 school year budget. So we once again found ourselves in the same position we were in last year. Budgeting for the 25-26 year was a bit of a challenge because there was no state budget until October. We budgeted pretty conservatively for our original budget because there wasn't a whole lot of consensus between the House and the Senate, the governor. This year, I think, is a little bit different. The House, the Senate, and the governor have put out budget proposals. All three proposals indicated a 2.5% increase to the per pupil foundation allowance. And all three proposals also included a form of extending the universal free meal program. Having said that, we'll see what actually gets reconciled and adopted. The state does not have to have their budget adopted for schools until July 1st, so they still have a little time to reconcile and adopt and be compliant. We also have to have our budget adopted by June 30, so that is what we are going to cover this evening. So we're going to look at our 25-26 final amendment and our 26-27 proposed original budget. So starting off, you can see our property tax millages have remained pretty consistent going back a few years. We do have a new addition in 26-27, and that's our 1.55 mills for the recently adopted bond proposal that was on the May ballot.
That isn't going to be addressed in this particular amendment. We have not yet closed on the bond. That hopefully will come up on June 30 for our bond closing. And we're still working through the details of setting up the new funds that we're going to have to. We're going to have to establish a new capital projects fund, a new debt service fund for the new debt. So we're still in the process of working through those, and we'll bring those updates in a future amendment. So looking at our enrollment, keep up with my notes here. So looking at our enrollment projections, the black line is our actual enrollment, and the blue line is our projections. As you can see, it fluctuates a bit year to year over time. Notably, if you look at the black line, there was a bit of a dip between the 24-25, 25-26 school years. Part of that was the GSRP program, which we've discussed at previous budget amendments, where we wound up receiving funding from Marisa, and they were able to claim our per pupil under that pilot program. That program is going away for 26-27, so we're once again going to reclaim the pupil foundation allowance for those students. So we have projections run annually on where we think our enrollment is going to be based off numerous factors, including birth rates, and various other factors. Most recently, we had to have these, we were required to have these enrollment projections updated back in November when we filed our application for the bond with Treasury. So this data is as of November 2025. And we use a blended rate in our projections. We use a blended rate of the least likely outcome and the most likely outcome. So we try to be a little bit conservative when we look at our enrollment projections. So for the 26-27 school year, we're looking at 3,190 students for our per pupil enrollment. State aid, as I mentioned previously, the 26-27 budgets at the state level, the proposals all had a 2.5% increase to the state aid. That equates to $250 per pupil. So we would be going from our current state aid foundation allowance of $10,050 up to $10,300. So looking at the general fund specifically, the general fund is comprised of many individual funds that get rolled up together, including our general operations, our grants, Coffin Auditorium, Planetarium, Father Marquette, a couple other funds, athletics, and our student activities. So looking at some of our revenue assumptions for 26-27, property taxes, we kept pretty stable. Looking at last year, property taxes increased about 2.7%. The factors for the upcoming year aren't out yet, but we assume based off inflation would be about the same levels. Other local revenues, again, we looked historically, kept it at about the same level. The one thing I will note is our special ed funding is projected to increase from Market Alger RESA. We're looking at about an additional $500,000 coming through for special education. Looking at state revenues, going from memory, I should catch up to my notes. As far as local revenues also, while it's not stated there, I should mention that we did keep 3.5% is our target interest rate on our investment returns. The Feds met last week and they kept the key interest rate at 3.5 to 3.75%. While inflation does look like it's ticking up, I don't know how reactive the Fed is going to be to raising rates. So conservatively, we just left it at the 3.5% when we were looking at our 26-27 budget. when it comes to our overall investment returns. State revenues, again, we're looking at a $10,300 per pupil foundation allowance, although that's subject to change because the state has not yet adopted a budget. MIPSers, the district's retirement plan. We're seeing a change in our UAAL stabilization rate. That's decreasing from 15.02% down to 13.51%. So we're going to see a drop in our revenue from the state related to MIPSers, and then a corresponding drop in our expenses related to the UAL portion of our MIPSers retirement plan. Also, we did see, the state of Michigan has over 20 different retirement plans under MIPSers right now, and we did see 3 of our plans take some pretty significant decreases in the rates that the district has to pay for those plans. So we're going to see overall a drop in our retirement contributions that we have to pay as part of our benefits for 26-27. And then looking at federal revenues, are based on preliminary allocations. We think they're going to be pretty consistent with where we were last year. Our federal funding has somewhat stabilized after COVID. We get basically our title grants, Title I, Title II, Title IV, Title III, Title VI. And then our federal portion of our school lunch fund, also that's partially federally funded. All those we're projecting to be pretty stable for the next school year. We did have a couple of grants disappear from state revenue that won't come back in 26-27 unless specifically allocated by the state when they adopt their budget. One of them is 23G. We use that to fund summer school, so that's gone away. So we do have summer school in the budget, but that's going to be absorbed as a general fund cost and currently not grant funded unless we get some additional funding from the state. Also, as I mentioned, GSRP was a pilot program through Market Algerisa, and that is going away in 26-27 as well. All right. So looking at our revenues by sources, you can see our local revenues for our final amendment. We're projecting to come in around 17 million. Looking at 26-27, we're bumping that up by about 600,000 to 17.6 million. It's about a 3.5% increase. Looking at state revenues, we think we're coming in around 33.6 million for 25-26. And again, slight decrease, about 1.6% decrease for 26-27 based off of some of the specific state grants that we lost that won't be coming back unless the state specifically allocates additional funding next year. And looking at our federal revenues, not a significant change, 731,000 for 25-26, and currently we're projecting about 710,000 for 26-27. So overall, we're looking at about 51.5 million to end 25-26, and also about 51.5 million to end 26-27. So pretty much on par with where we've been tracking. This is just a chart of our revenues. You can see the blue is our state funding. That is the lion's share of our budget, followed by taxes, and then our special education funding through Marisa. Really those are the big 3 pieces of the general fund revenue. Looking at expenditures. So general fund expenditures are pretty, the biggest expenditure in the general fund is salaries and benefits. That's about 83% of the overall budget. So looking at salaries and benefits for 26-27, we still have 1 year left on the contract. with the unions. So we updated wages and benefits based off our current bargaining unit agreements. We also, as I mentioned before, we are receiving some additional money. We anticipate, I should say, receiving some additional money from Market Al-Jarisa for special education. That's been a growing need within the district, and so we are looking at adding 2 additional special education positions within the district, just because that is and seems to be an ever-growing need. Looking at our health insurance, come January 2027, our hard cap will go up 3% over where we were for the 25-26 year. Again, MIPSR's rates on our UAL will go from 15.02% down to 13.51%, so we'll see some savings there. And again, we had a couple of other MIPSR's plans where we saw pretty significant declines in the rates the district has to pay. So we'll see some overall savings on our retirement contributions. Overall, no programming changes for 26-27. We've left all the programs in place, so summer school and all the other programs that we've had. We're not proposing any changes at this time. We continue to stay with our 2 school bus purchase a year plan. So we do have 2 school buses in this proposed budget. And then all other expenses are based off historical trends. Looking at expenses by function, you can see our largest cost is in instruction, about 29 million, pushing 30 million for 26-27. Supporting services, around 20 million. Community services, around 214,000 is what we're proposing next year. And transfers about pushing 1.3 million. So overall, 51.5 million for the budget. But this is the better breakdown, I think, than looking at it by function, looking at it by object code. So you can see, again, salaries and benefits is the lion's share of the budget. We're looking at a 3.3% increase to salaries, slight decrease to benefits overall, again, largely due to the reduction in MIPSR's rates. 5% increase to our purchase services, which includes our utilities. Again, inflation's been ticking up, so we're trying to, project that out a little bit. And then we're looking at savings where we can as far as repair and maintenance. Hopefully as we move forward with some of our projects, we'll see some of our repair and maintenance costs come down. And we also tried to adjust for some one-time repairs that we had during the course of the year. And same thing with capital outlay. We adjusted down for some one-time expenses that we had throughout the course of the year. So overall, we're looking at from 25-26 to 26-27, a projected increase overall of about $47,000 worth of expenses. So really looking comparing 26-27 to 25-26, it's pretty much consistent overall. Looking at our expenses for the general fund, again, you look at the black, that's our salaries, that's half the budget right there. You look at the blue, that's our benefits. 33% of our budget is benefits. That gets you 83%. And so the remainder is what we have to work with for operations. So we divvy up that remaining portion of the pie amongst transportation, utilities, things of that nature, plowing, all comes out of that remaining piece. So looking at the general fund overall, current budget, we had $50,445,000 in revenues, $50.3 million in expenses, and we're projecting a net income of $61,792. That was with our March amendment. Subsequently, we had some grants that came through late in the year that we hadn't yet received or paid as of the March amendment. So we're looking at about $51.5 million in revenue, $51.5 million in expenses for 25-26, resulting in a net income of $12,531. We're looking at 26, 27, very similar, 51.5 million in revenues, 51.5 million in expenses, resulting in net income of $3,445. Looking at next year, beginning fund balance, we're estimating to be $19,562 overall. Of that, $24,600 is non-spendable and things like prepaid expenses that aren't cash equivalents. We commit 10% of expenditures for contingencies, so we have 5.1 million reserved for that. We have money set aside. We had originally set money aside for MTSS, about 1.3 million. We've been utilizing that set aside as we continue with our MTSS implementation. So we'll be down to about 1.1 million set aside for that program. And then we have money set aside for future school bus purchases as well, resulting in 12.4 million that's unassigned and available for future use. Moving on to the food service fund, and I will pick up the pace at this point. I just like to focus in on the general fund a little bit. And I did promise Mr. Roberts here that I would go exceptionally slow for him, so trying to keep my promise. But looking at the food service fund, as I said, the state of Michigan in the governor's budget, the House and the Senate budget have all indicated some form of a universal free meal program. So we have kept this pretty much status quo until the state adopts a budget and we figure out what is in it. So looking at our revenue side, local revenues, about 100,000. We kept that consistent. State revenues, about $1 million. We project, that's based off of meal utilization, so we pulled back a little bit, again, being a little conservative. And our federal revenue, we think, is going to be consistent. So overall, we're looking at a projected net loss for 25-26 of 113,000. And next year, we're looking at a net loss of 233,000, but we will see what happens when the state adopts their budget. And we have also been rolling a lot of money back into our food service program, trying to utilize some of our fund balance. And I've been speaking with our food service director about pulling back on some of the things that we've been doing. And so I think this is going to change in a future amendment. Once we know what the state's doing, we'll come back with a plan and we'll react to this a little bit. So looking at the food service by object, you can see salaries is about 570,000, up from about 552,000 where we're projected to come in this year. Benefits down slightly, 321,000 from 25-26. And then everything we basically left as is. Again, we'll see if the state continues with the universal free meal program or not. Overall, we're projecting to end 25-26 with 488,000 in fund balance. Looking at 25-26, we're looking at a reduction in fund balance down to 396,000, and looking at 26-27, if this holds true, we'll be down to 163,000 in fund balance in the food service fund, which is a nonprofit fund, so the goal is not to build up too much of a fund balance, and we can actually be penalized for maintaining too high of a fund balance. So so it's kind of managing the sweet spot, this fund. Moving on, we'll cover the debt retirement fund, the capital projects fund, and the sinking fund. And these we can go through pretty quickly. The debt service fund, all this is an in and out. We collect property taxes that we then turn around and use to pay the 2016 bond and interest payments. So we're projected next year to take in about 608,000, spend 561,000 on bond and interest payments, resulting in a net income of 46,581. Looking at the fund overall, Again, revenues of $608,000, expenses $561,000, resulting in an ending fund balance of $225,000. And again, this exists just to pay the 2016 bond that remains. Moving on, Capital Projects Fund. Capital Projects, we have utilized this pretty heavily this past year in lieu of the sinking fund. The sinking fund we had saved up, and we used a large portion of the sinking fund for renovating the science labs over at the high school. And so we brought that fund balance down. So we kind of gave the sinking fund a little time to rest and rebuild. So we were utilizing capital projects this past year. So as you can see, we had $269,000 in local revenue and capital projects. We're proposing an overall transfer in this year of $1,150,000, expenditures of $1,747,000, resulting in a net loss of $327,000 to capital projects. So we did spend a lot out of that fund. Looking at 26-27, local revenues $239,000, transfers in of $1,250,000. Right now, we're proposing $449,000 worth of expenditures out of that fund, and an overall net income of $1,040,000. Some of the projects that we're targeting, well, the big project right now that we're targeting out of capital projects that'll be split somewhat between 25-26 and 26-27 is the elevators at the high school in Bothwell. We have 3 elevators that need to be renovated, and that is going to come out of our capital projects fund. And that is probably going to also carry over into the perhaps into the 27-28 school year as well. So looking at the fund overall, looking at 25-26, we started with anticipate starting with $5.6 million in equity, adding revenues of almost $1.5 million, expenditures of about $500,000, resulting in a fund equity of $6,666,700 is where we're projecting. Now the intent is to, as you know, and I'll just take a moment, I know I said I was going to speed this up, but let me just say, we are very grateful to the community for approving the bond proposal in May, but that was just under $60 million, and we had over $100 million worth of identified need. So we're still trying to fill this gap, and so we'll be utilizing the capital projects fund in conjunction with the bond dollars to try to leverage some additional projects or to be a backstop in case there are unexpected contingencies that arise, because no project ever goes smoothly. All right, looking at the sinking fund, as I mentioned before, we had heavily utilized the sinking fund in 25-26. We were trying to rebuild that a little bit. So we're anticipating coming into the year end with $1.38 million in revenue. We spent about $366,000 out of sinking fund, resulting in net income of a little over $1 million. Looking at 26-27, we're looking at taking in about $1.4 million in taxes into the sinking fund. We anticipate currently spending $360,000, but we've kind of pumped the brakes a little bit now that we have the bond project. We're going to start looking at the big picture and what we can do with sinking fund and capital projects in conjunction with the bond revenue. So this plan is going to change in the future. Looking at the sinking fund overall, we anticipate starting 26-27 with about $1.6 million in fund equity, taking in just under $1.4 million in revenue, $360,000 in estimated expenditures, resulting in an ending fund balance of about $2.6 million. And then last one, our private purpose trust fund. We had Mrs. Winslow here this evening. I think she probably stepped out. But this is just our scholarship fund. So there's a committee that handles scholarships. So we just act as the fiduciary. They tell us what we need to pay out. We pay it out. So This is basically just an in and out for the district. So we're anticipating ending 26-27 with a balance of $309,000 in the scholarship bond. Any questions?
No, but I just have a comment to make of, you know, I sit through these and I stay awake. I do like numbers, but this budget proposals and walkthroughs get long. And I do this all day long. I work with numbers and P&Ls and all of that. And I just think that the layout is so thorough and that the transparency, there's not a lot to hide here. And I just want to, as we pass this $60 million bond, which is amazing, but still not going to quite cut it, and how we constantly are trying to figure out how to make these numbers work. And I know there's a lot of people in out there in the public, in our community, who think that I don't know, that we're all going to Hawaii on a vacation or something. But just joking aside, that there is, if they were to come and see this and hear this, and I encourage people to come and for the community to see that there's not a lot to hide here, and that, you know, yes, 83% goes to salaries, and the rest goes to trying to maintain, you know, all of these buildings. And so I'm excited that we continue to be this transparent and this thorough with our budget. And we do have a shortfall there from 60 to 100 million. You know, we're only covering 60% of it. So I just keep encouraging and try to say these things so that the community does realize the needs that these schools have and what the future road brings for us. It's exciting. 60 million is going to get us started, but there's a real need that continues, and that we are being very transparent with the numbers. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Mr. Lampman.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Just a quick note, Mr. Lampman and I took over in the midst of COVID, and it was an interesting time to be in education. And we experienced a lot of turnover, and there was a lot of unknowns. And between the student achievement update and then hearing this update on our budget, along with having the bond approved, makes me feel very confident that this district is in a strong position for the future, and I appreciate the board's support, because it's been a tough road to hoe these past 5 years. And I think there's a lot to celebrate tonight. So anyway, that's all I have. President Cambenzi.
Okay. Moving on to the public hearing on the 2026-2027 budget. I believe we already have the presentation.
Presentation, ask for comments.
Okay. If anyone has any comments from the public on the 2026-2027 proposed budget. I know we have a comment for later. No? Okay. All right. And then moving on to approving the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 18th, 2026, minutes of the closed session of the regular meeting of May 18th, 2026, the personnel report dated June 2026, and the financial reports of May 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. Okay, motion made by Mrs. Klipp, support by Ms. Ray. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to comments from the public. Angela Abbott.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Angela Abbott. I am the president of the Marquette Gridiron Football Booster Club.
One second.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Do you want me to repeat?
No.
Okay. For those of you that don't know me, because I feel like there are quite a few in this room, I had a 24 graduate and a 25 graduate, both involved in several sports here at the high school, football, wrestling, track. I have 2 more that are in school. Athletics is very important to me. I was expecting more from the budget tonight to, I guess, outline what detail was for athletics. So I feel like I just need to let you know, I guess, what we do. I'm not sure if a member of our club has ever spoke to you before. We were formed in 2021, I guess during COVID, and then became a nonprofit in 2021. I have been the president since 2024, and then before that was the vice president in 23. I want to try to be, I guess, as transparent as possible during this. For the past 2 years, when we go to create our budget for our upcoming sports season, we have been asked to wait to start fundraising. We are a group of moms who believe in our children and we want to make athletics better, but we are volunteers. I want to emphasize that every dollar we raise does go directly to the safety, experience, and opportunities of our football players. None of our board members are paid. We last season contributed over 500 volunteer hours in season alone, and that was just our board. That was not the parents that we were asking to volunteer in the concession stands or do any other work for us. We do believe in our children and the value of athletics and the role that plays in education. Over the past several years, the Gridiron Club has funded essential items that the athletic budget has not covered. These include weight room equipment that is used for other sports as well as physical education classes, helmet guardians, which is safety padding that goes around the helmet to reduce concussions, varsity equipment bags so that our players can safely transport gear and hopefully not lose anything, team t-shirts so that every player can promote unity and school spirit, senior banners to honor our graduating athletes, team dinners that build community and ensure all players are fed before games, all bus snacks and travel meals for away games so that every athlete has access to the food that is required to perform. In 2024, a Lowell trip was booked down to Lowell, Michigan. The Gridiron Club paid for all hotel rooms and food, giving athletes a memorable and competitive experience. The past 2 years, we have held a kickoff event that brings our families and players together. In 2023 and 24, we traveled for a spring evaluation camp. This gives student athletes exposure, as well as our school as a whole. This spring, we invested nearly $20,000 in new sleds, new cages. This promotes safety and effectiveness. In addition to player-focused expenses, our club also has our own administrative expenses. We pay for all of the concession stand equipment, warmers, grills, popcorn machines. That generates revenue for our football program. Administrative necessities, which includes food service licenses, our contact management system so that we can contact parents, our website, our internet services, which allow us to be transparent and efficient. Every purchase that we make is documented and approved and aligns with our mission, which is to support our student athletes, enhance safety, and strengthen our football program without placing an additional financial burden on the school district. Fundraising is what makes this possible. Without it, these opportunities and safety enhancements would not exist. It was mentioned earlier that last year we did this with limited fundraising. I'm not sure why the board chose to limit that, but I ask that we are able to continue as we can so that we can supply for these children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Consider amendment to the 2025-2026 budget. So I would entertain a motion to adopt the 2025-26 budget as presented.
I'll make a motion to consider the amended 2025-2026 budget. Can I add these together? As well as- Can I put them all together?
They should be separate.
Okay.
Because we're gonna adopt the final amendment to the 25-26
Perfect.
budget.
Okay.
And then we're gonna adopt the budget resolution, 26-27.
Okay, so then I just make a motion to consider or to accept the, 2025-2026.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Ray, supported by Mrs. Maddox Smith. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Consider adoption of the 2026-2027 budget resolution as presented.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2026-2027 budget resolution as proposed.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Ray, supported by Mrs. Maddox Smith. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Consider adoption of the bond ratifying resolution.
There's a lengthy document in your packet that includes our official statement and actual resolution. And our bond attorneys have vetted this document, and it's quite technical, so hopefully you don't have any real challenging questions. It's vetted by legal. It's just it's a step in the process of executing this bond in anticipation of the bond sale that is going to be coming up later this month.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the bond ratifying resolution as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Ray, supported by Mr. Smith. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Consider awarding the district-wide hazardous materials survey project to Trimedia as recommended.
Will mention, if I may, that Isaac Roberts, who's engineer for GEI, owner's rep, is here and can answer any questions, but this is another step to prepare for the execution of the bond, doing a widespread or a comprehensive assessment to ensure safety for when we're undergoing those projects, abatement, etc. Mr. Roberts, did you have anything to add?
No, it's going to be targeting all the schools, looking at lead-based paint, PCBs, mercury, asbestos. We did a small section at Grave Rep for the GSRP last year, and Sandy Knoll as well. So this is just going to be expanded for all the facilities, schools, I should say, elementaries, middle, and high schools.
So Isaac, did I hear you correctly that each school is going to be tested individually for
Yes.
those things?
Yes.
So this will be district-wide every school?
District-wide, yes, correct.
Thank you.
Does this have to be completed before any of the construction work begins?
Technically, no, but to save dollars on construction side, it's better to do things up front so that the contractors know what they're getting themselves involved to during bidding and prior to start of construction to reduce the amount of change orders.
Did anyone else bid?
No, we only received one bid from Trimedia.
Okay, any other questions? Then I would consider awarding the district-wide hazardous materials survey project to Tri-Media as recommended. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the district-wide hazardous materials survey project to Tri-Media as recommended.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Ray, support by Mrs. Cliff. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Designate depositories for school funds, which includes a list underneath. So I would entertain a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion to designate the depositories for school funds as presented below. You want me to go through those, Linda, or no?
No, you don't.
Oh, thanks. Second.
Okay. Motion made by Ms. Ray, support by Ms. Thomas. All those in favor, or any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Set board meeting dates for the remainder of 2026. Those are in our packet. So entertain a motion to set the dates for the remainder of 2026.
Make a motion that we set the dates as presented in our packet.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Maddox Smith, support by Ms. Ray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to board member comments. We'll start with Mr. Smith.
Where to begin? There's so much that we heard tonight. I think to hear the academic and the athletic reports is really encouraging. I think it represents a well-rounded school district, and to hear the progress that MAPS is making in its academic performance is significant, and it ought to give parents the reassurance that when their students come to MAPS that they're actually getting the kind of education that they would hope for. I also wanted to mention that today I had an opportunity to go and observe a district-wide drill that focuses on safety, and as I think the board knows, MAPS has been spending the last several years upgrading and improving the systems that are used to notify the public, to get emergency responses to our schools if and when we were to have some sort of an emergency. And without going into detail, I was impressed with the layers of communication that the district has developed to make sure that notifications can happen when they need to, and that the right services from law enforcement, public safety, medical services, all of those are in place. And in the event of a failure of one system, there are backup systems to cover that. And that is impressive. And I just wanted to thank our administration and all of our partners in the community that provide those services for being so responsive and developing systems that are tested so that even though we're not using them now, in the event we should have to have them, they're available and people know how to make it happen.
Thank you. Cassidy.
Thank you, everyone. I'm kind of losing my voice, so I'll just say thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you, Mr. Lampin, Ms. Abbott. Thank you, Isaac, for being here. Thank you, Jackson, Mr. Ingalls, and I think that was everyone.
Thank you. Mrs. Maddox Smith.
Gosh, how to follow all that. So much information. The budget alone is just like mind-blowing. And thanks for Mr. Lampman for going through all that. I mean, we don't even have a budget from the state yet, so we're still kind of punting again, waiting and hoping that
that our numbers will be good, and then we'll be back amending them when they're not, and it's just a lot. So we have such a great administration and such a great community. This district is so fortunate to have the people that they have supporting the bond. I just can't be more thankful for that. The developments with the CTE, Dr. Smith and Mr. I think it was Ziegler coming in and talking to us about that. That's just tremendous for our students and for our community itself. I mean, we really are a district that involves the community, and the community's involved. I mean, I love seeing everyone here today and hearing everybody's input. We really are listening. All of the students, congratulations to all the students that Mr. Ingalls named. Amazing, just amazing. We have a great athletics program, and thank you for jumping in feet first and getting her done. Kathleen, oh my gosh, the student achievements were amazing, and you know, I loved the piece, you know, how we're moving up with math, but really explaining, Mrs. Clip really explaining the piece about how that target moves. And, you know, those are a lot of things that we just don't know. You know, we read these things, you guys don't read these things probably. And it's just good information to know, and to know that our district is doing well, despite COVID, despite everything. Thank you so much for everybody being here, everybody putting in what they do. And Ms. Abbott, I appreciate your information on the gridiron. I didn't know, I didn't really know before today what y'all do, and it's just great information. It just helps us all work together better. So thank you, everybody.
Mrs. Clip?
I always love the student data presentation, but I am definitely a nerd about that, so it's great to see. I believe this is our 12th budget amendment presentation for Jen Ray and I. And Mr. Lampman, if anyone can make it exciting, it's not you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Mr. Lampman. I very much appreciate the fact that it didn't include little pictures of Tweety birds and stuff. We just got right in there. In all sincerity, that is not my bailiwick. Teaching older kids how to read and write well is, and you have made it informative and is easy to follow along with all of the diversity inside it and moving pieces. I appreciate that. Boy, have athletics changed. AAU, off-season training. I have a competitive dancer at my house, so she doesn't engage in school athletics, but I know the costs. Driving off to Madison, driving off to Minneapolis, driving off to Green Bay, bake sales and Super One bagging. I feel for everybody who's invested in what their child wants to do. I'm certain that, you know, folks who are involved in robotics teams would say the same thing. It is expensive to be a parent. It's expensive to love your kid and try to support them in whatever way they're going, because we know that in 10 years, I know I don't have a competitive dancer. God, I hope I don't have a competitive dancer. Can you imagine? And probably, you know, many of us don't also have D2 or D1 tennis players, football players, varsity volleyball players, maybe some of us. But unfortunately, not a lot of us, and yet we're ready to put the money on the line. So I feel for everybody, and I appreciate the comments today. Ms. Abbott, I have to tell you, I was a little taken back. I'm not entirely certain of what your comments meant in terms of the specifics of fundraising. It's tricky, man. I can tell you, I think it was with Ms. Cambenzi, and I had a conversation, I'm pretty sure it was last fall. You know, those vertical rises, put money up there and you donate what you can. I can tell you last fall, I was approached by people that matter to me and kids that matter to me. By JV volleyball, varsity volleyball, boys soccer, and the Gridiron Club. it's hard to make the decision of where to put that money. Whose kid do I love the most? And what about my own kid? I doubt Gridiron folks, with all the sweat and blood, you have no idea how much those ridiculous costumes cost. They would make it for 10 minutes on the football field, but holy cow, thousands of dollars. It's a conversation I've been part of with friends and board, and oh, I wish we could figure this out, because we got to support our kids. Kids floating without an anchor, the data's clear, we lose them. And I don't have the answer to it. I wish I did. What I do know is it used to be that you could play football and then basketball and then baseball. And now it seems like, are you a volleyball player? Then you're a volleyball player. And we're taking 14-year-olds and they better dedicate their life to volleyball between the age of 14 and 18. It's the cost of a whole bunch of money. AAU's not cheap. It concerns me, frankly. And I don't have the answer to it. Nobody approached me about girls' tennis, and that's what I played when I was in high school and was frankly pretty good at it, but also didn't get me a college education. I'm thinking about you guys as you go into this season. Football's so fun to watch. I wish I had answers for you. I wish we could figure this out. I wish we could let kids be kids and be good at the things they're good at. And I just don't have the answer for you. It's expensive. It's just not like the old days. Anyways, thanks for your comments. I appreciate it. Thanks for everybody here. Have a good night.
Mr. Zajednik.
No additional comments, thank you.
Ms. Ray?
Just a thank you for the thoroughness tonight by all those who spoke. I really appreciate it. And it's, you know, we're up here to help oversee things by a broader picture. We don't micromanage, so it's the things you don't know till you know. And hearing all of the good stuff happening is important for us to hear, as well as from the parents who come. So I appreciate all of the speakers. I am continued to be impressed by our district, by the administration and the teachers, and by the community and the parents, and the involvement that everybody has. You know, the budget transparency is huge, and I really appreciate that. I think the ability for this district to be fiscally responsible has been impressive to me, and continuing to kind of try to prioritize things. I do really appreciate you all coming and speaking, because it is the things that we don't know. This is, I think, the first time we've had you all here to speak, and so I just learned a ton, and I've got a few questions to ask afterwards. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we want every child to succeed, and we want to be able to fund all of them, especially the ones who can't afford to do it, right? Yes. And so, and it does ideally continue. I mean, I do have 2 kids that went on to row at U of M, and then even beyond that, trying to. And it's an incredible thing for kids to be able to have that, and the community that it brings to them. And again, particularly the ones that don't have the means to do it or the support to do it. So for me, that's powerful when they can be part of a team or part of a music group, and our community provides that. And I want to continue to figure out how we can continue that. So I, again, really appreciate you all coming. I appreciate you all speaking, and thank you.
Thank you. Board President comments. Just thank you everyone for coming out today. It's always great to hear what is going on in our buildings and in our community. I guess I would like to urge the legislators to do their job. And, you know, we had a budget hearing and we did our jobs. We approved it. We made sure that we have the programs and the funding to continue for the next year. It would be nice if the legislators would do their jobs and make ours a little bit easier. So Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work with the budget. And that's it. Announcements and other meetings. First day of school, September 8th, 2026. It'll be here quicker than we want, yes. And we'd like to recess to closed session under Section 8A of the Open Meetings Act. Employees request to consider a periodic personnel evaluation. So do I need a motion and support for that? Motion and support.
Make a motion to go into recess to closed session under Section 8A of the Open Meetings Act upon employee request to consider a periodic personnel evaluation.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Zednik, support by Mrs. Clip. Do we need a roll call for that?
We would not need a roll.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Yeah, yep. Are we going to